friends. Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello. So today's video, we are doing a Yass or pause. Today's candle of the day is actually from Capri Blue. It is one of their volcano candles in the beautiful pink packaging. They actually sent me a few of their candles a while back and I love them. I realized I hadn't started burning like the pink one yet, but the volcano candle scent is just beautiful. So they're a little bit bougie, but I'm a fan. Before we jump into today's video, I do just want to say very quickly, if you've been watching me for a long time, you know usually at the end of my videos I talk about registering to vote, and recently it's been going out to vote, but I feel that the importance of election day tomorrow is not lost on me, and I do want to just give one last ditch effort to use my platform to maybe influence some change. So I would just like to please remind everybody, if you have not already voted, please get out there and vote tomorrow. Please plan accordingly because lines are likely to be long. Bring your masks, take your selfies and post it, encourage your friends and family to go vote, make your voting plan, figure out where you're registered. Please get out there and vote. I think this election is really complicated because I know that most people don't like either candidate, and frankly, I feel ya. Like, I was Bernie or bust. Like, I get it. But I think what's really important to remember about this election is that it's not just about the president. It's not just about Joe Biden. It's about who he is going to potentially pick to be on the Supreme Court. It's about his cabinet members. It's about the Secretary of Education, the Attorney Generals. It's all of the really important facets of the American political system that Trump is currently in charge of. I'm not saying that voting for Biden is going to fix everything and it's going to magically make our country good, because it's not. It's not going to be good. There's still a lot of fighting and work that needs to be done to fix things. However, that work can't even begin to start if we have 4 more years of Donald Trump. So, also, if you feel the need to unsubscribe because I'm saying don't vote for Trump, you don't have to announce your exit. I literally don't give a fuck. Anyway, with all that being said, please get out there and vote. Make sure your friends are voting. Make sure your family is voting. Please go vote. Okay, let's talk about makeup. Let's talk about fun things for a minute. So the first thing I want to talk about is this palette from Linda Halberg Cosmetics. This is the new Golden 20s eyeshadow palette. It has 12 shades. It's $55. There's 5 mattes, 1 semi-matte, 4 shimmers, and 2 glitters. Can I just say how much I appreciate that she included that there is a semi-matte, because I'm so sick of getting these palettes and then suddenly realizing that something I thought was a matte is actually kind of a glitter. I'm looking at you, ColourPop. You're the worst person who does that. Don't get me wrong. I think this palette is pretty. Like, I always am a sucker for neutrals and golds. However, it's just way too basic for the price tag. For $55, I think this just looks incredibly basic. I've heard that the Linda Halberg Cosmetics formula is really amazing. So I can understand why, if you're like obsessed with the formula and you wanted that formula in neutrals, I think that's great. I also think the packaging is super basic, especially for like a holiday release. It's like, oh, golds and red ground. I hate to keep saying that. I just think because the makeup market is so oversaturated, especially around Christmas time when every brand is putting out their holiday releases, it's really important to do something at least a little bit different to stand out. And to me, this could be like a Clinique palette. Like, this could be literally from any brand ever. There's nothing sort of distinct about this. So for me, this is a pass. I'm definitely not super interested in this one. Sorry, Linda. Maybe next time. What really would have been cool, honestly, I know I've been like a sucker for quads, but I just have been loving quads and 6-pan palettes lately, like little palettes. I love them. So what would have been really cool, especially I'm looking at the 2 sort of upper quadrants, if you cut out that bottom row and you just had that sort of pink with the 2 browns and the sparkly shimmer, and then the 1 matte with the 3 gold shimmers, I would have been way more interested in these if these were like $20 priced quads that you could buy versus a $55 palette with a bunch of shades that I already have. Okay, so I saw that e.l.f. was coming out with a brightening concealer. I'm actually excited about this. I tried the e.l.f., what was it called? It was something Grip, and it was bad. It was the e.l.f. Camouflage Concealer. That stuff sucked. I know there's people that love it and like rave about it. To me, it sucked. I hated it. It was so, you literally had 0.0003 seconds to blend it out, and then you were just screwed. However, they came up with a hydrating version of that concealer, and I'm actually wearing it today. I really, really enjoy the hydrating version. I think the idea of a clicky pen concealer is not my favorite. I just find those to be a little bit annoying. I know this is a little bit like nitpicky, but I never have really loved the clicky pen. I don't get it. I don't get why people even use those anymore, but I am interested in this. I'm always interested in a brightening concealer, and e.l.f. is always super, super affordable. So if I can find a brightening concealer that will actually work and is affordable, that's a win for me. Right now I've been using for brightening the Selena Gomez Rare Beauty concealer, which I really like, but this would obviously be much cheaper. So this is something I might actually try. I'm a little bit interested in this. One Size Beauty is coming out with a setting powder. It's 2 shades. There's one for lighter skin and one for darker skin. I will say I think Patrick should have done something that was more inclusive if he was going to do powders. I think doing any less than 4 powders on an initial launch, especially when you're a brand that's being like sold in Sephora, I think anything less than 4 powders to kind of cover different skin tones is not the best. Also, I know this is nitpicky, but I really, really hate the packaging on these. The inside part, where it's just one little hole that all of the powder comes through, looks like it's going to be the most annoying. Like you're either going to get out a ton or you're not going to get out any. And also just the packaging in general, I'm honestly not a fan. It kind of looks like cheap Kylie Cosmetics packaging in the sense that it doesn't look super well made or luxurious, which given Patrick's sort of essence, I would have assumed he would pick something that was a little bit more, you know, like out there. He's so bold and fun and extra and has this like larger than life personality. I'm very confused about why all of his products so far have been so utterly boring. Like it just really confuses me. I feel like if he put his personality into the products more, I would be 10 times more interested because they would actually look interesting, whereas this doesn't look interesting to me at all. I am curious to see how the formula of this performs. I remember he came out with that MAC Cosmetics powder, and that was like hugely hyped. Everybody loved that powder, and it was like sold out instantly. People freaked out over it. I remember he created a really good powder with them, so I'm very interested to see if this powder is as good as that powder was, and I'm sure there will be reviews on this product, so that'll be kind of interesting to know the formula. But I think overall, like first impressions, just not even the formula, everything else, this just feels kind of like a weird, kind of lazy launch. Everything from him so far has just felt kind of lazy. It's weird. I don't know. I feel like I'm being too mean. I don't like to be mean, especially with influencer brands, because I really respect that influencers like go out of their way to create products, but at the same time, if you're gonna do it, like do it. There's so much competition. To be complacent and lazy with launches just doesn't interest me in any way, and I don't think it interests a lot of people. This Huda Beauty palette, oh my god. Let's just zoom in on the shade Slippery. I know that's what everyone's talking about. Huda Beauty is coming out with her new palette. It's called the Naughty palette. I have to say, I low-key want this, but only because I'm so incredibly curious about what Slippery is. Like, what is that? I honestly, I know I just had a whole talk about like being innovative and doing different things, and I don't understand who was like, yeah, let's make our eyeshadow look like a fungus. You know the coronavirus that's going around? Let's make an eyeshadow that looks like that in a pan. Like, who signed off on this particular look? I've seen it swatched, and I guess it does swatch really pretty, so I'll give it that. But I'm just so confused because it's the only shade in the palette that has that weird texture. And also, I kind of wish if they were gonna make this more marbled pattern on some of the pans, they had done it on all of the shimmer pans. Having it kind of sporadic throughout the palette honestly just makes the palette look not as appeasing. I do think this color story it's okay. It's definitely a little bit more boring, which is why I think they were like, hey, let's put a fungus and some marble in here and it'll spice things up. But I think it looks pretty. I tend to really, really like Huda Beauty's formula. It's a formula I enjoy a lot, and I use her palettes pretty frequently just because I find the formula to be really good. And I do appreciate that she created something that is kind of the darker version of the palette she put out last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I believe it was 2 years ago she put out the nude palette. I appreciate that this is a little bit of a deeper version of that because I think this will be a little bit more versatile on different skin tones, whereas the initial nude palette was definitely really only people with lighter skin tones could use that. So I appreciate that it's definitely a little bit more inclusive. I don't know if I'm gonna buy this. Let me know if you guys would want a review on this palette, because I would buy it if I like had a purpose. Like if I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a talktorial, then I would buy it. If nobody's really interested in a review, I don't think I'm gonna go for it. That shade is so weird. How did they even do that? Can I just say, like, full honesty, I wish Sugarpill would stop trying to make this packaging happen, because I hate this packaging more than anything. This packaging from Sugarpill I think is so just incredibly ugly. It's so ugly to me. I hate that it's like floating circles. I actually saw it in person earlier this year at an Ulta. I hate how it looks. It looks so chintzy. It looks like they just didn't finish making the palette. Like, I just don't understand why they did this. I don't even mind the shadows are different sizes, but I wish there was a little bit more rhyme or reason as to why they made certain shadows bigger and other ones smaller. Like, for example, in some Morphe palettes, we're gonna get into Morphe in a second, but Morphe does this one cool thing that I like, where in some of their palettes, they have much bigger pans, and usually it's the shadows that you're going to use the most out of a palette. So their bigger pans are like a black, a neutral, a cream color, and that like at least makes sense, because yes, you're probably going to use those more to complement all of the other colors, and they make all the other palettes smaller. This doesn't feel like there's a rhyme or reason for making some super big and some super small, and I also just think this packaging sucks. The color story on this I'm not mad at. The purple, pink, blue, green, it looks pretty. It's definitely a little bit different, at least. I'm sure it's a good quality formula, because I know Sugarpill's formula is really good. I just wish they would stop trying to literally put their stuff in a pill. Just over it. Or at least put a backing on it. Like, why are all these plastic? I don't know. I don't like it. I hate the packaging. Makeup by Mario is putting out another launch. Looks to be 3 different quads, and specifically I wanted to talk about the lip palette. Somebody, when I talked about Makeup by Mario in my last video, somebody was like, I think he's making makeup for makeup artists, which is like, yeah, I agree with that. But in defense of like my critique of it, the brand, he is selling them at Sephora. It's not really being marketed just to makeup artists, because it's being sold at Sephora. So in that sense, I do think if they wanted it to just be like a makeup artist brand, they could have sold it independently or sold it on websites that are geared towards makeup artists. I think a lot of people are using that as a way to deflect criticism of the brand, and I just disagree with that. Like, I think if you're marketing it to everyone, then I can critique it like it's being marketed to everyone. So as far as this lip palette goes, I remember Anastasia put out this lip palette, and I actually had it for a while. Never used it. A lot of reasons. First of all, you can't like bring this with you and reapply it throughout the night. So while right now that's not really an issue because I'm not leaving my house, when I actually was able to leave my house, I would make this little custom lip color, and it's not like I could bring the whole palette with me to remix it and reapply it somewhere. I also struggled, and again, because I'm not a professional makeup artist, and that's what this product is pretty much for, I struggled personally with figuring out how much to mix, what type of colors to mix with. Like, this is very obviously a product that is for makeup artists, so if you're not a makeup artist, even though this might seem appealing to you like it did to me back in like 2016, because I was like, oh my god, I never need to buy another lipstick, I can just make whatever color I want. I get the appeal. I wouldn't go into this and buy it unless you like do Instagram makeup or you're a professional makeup artist. If you're just an everyday makeup wearer, just bite the bullet and keep buying lipsticks that are actually made for you and that you don't have to mix yourself and like concoct. I just feel like I fell for this trap when I was first starting in makeup, and it's like, this is not a product that's made for you. Even though it's being marketed like it is, it's not a product that was meant for people who don't do professional makeup. Okay, let's talk about this. This is the Star Wars inspired palette from ColourPop. I am on the ColourPop PR list, I think, but they only send certain releases, and I didn't get this one, but so I did buy it because I legitimately really liked it. I'm not even a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, I am a Baby Yoda fan, but like, who isn't? He's adorable. But I actually just genuinely really liked this color story, like a lot. I have been craving having grungy greens in my life ever since seeing that Melt 420 palette, but realistically I don't wear enough greens where it warrants spending a large amount of money on a grungy green palette. So this coming out was like perfect timing for me. I also can see people creating really fun grungy Christmas looks with this. So I'm all for this actually. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is one of ColourPop's best collab palettes that they've put out in a very long time. It's not just cute packaging and like a cute idea. They actually matched the inside of the packaging to the outside, and I think that's why this is gonna be so successful for them. Like, I can definitely see this being a huge success for them. Next, I want to talk about the Beetlejuice eyeshadow palette from Melt Cosmetics. There's 2 eyeshadow palettes. I don't really like the red one. I just don't. I don't like the red one, but that purple and yellow and green one, here's my thing. If you've been around a while, you know I'm not the biggest fan of the Melt Cosmetics eyeshadow palette formula. It just hasn't worked for me, not the biggest fan. However, Melt Cosmetics just so absolutely wins when it comes to concept and execution. Their stuff is so well executed. They are easily my favorite brand aesthetic-wise in the sense that they just fully commit to what they're doing. Something like Beetlejuice by another brand could have so easily turned very gimmicky and a very like just kind of cash grabby because they knew people would buy it just because it's Beetlejuice. But you can tell the time and effort that was put in to curating a very, very unique and fun color story that still really matched the theme of Beetlejuice. You can tell by the packaging that they put a lot of time and effort into it. Like everything about this is just screams, we put thought into this. And for that, I commend the brand, frankly. Like I think that's great. If you like their formula and you like this, I say go for it. I would like to support brands that actually are putting thought into their product releases and actually putting effort and energy into them instead of just releasing crap and knowing that people are gonna buy it anyway. Next, I wanna talk about the new Cover FX highlighter palette. Ugh, I want it so bad. I want this so bad. I don't need it. I don't need this. I don't need more highlighters. Like literally do not need any more highlighters in my life. There's no reason that I should be consuming more highlighters. I have a trillion of them. Like I don't need more. However, especially palettes. I never even freaking use highlighter palettes. I never reach for them. I always reach for singles. Again, no reason I should have this. I want it so bad. I love the Cover FX blushes. I absolutely adore them. It's one of my favorite blush formulas. And I'm super, super, super intrigued to try the highlighter formula. And based on how the models look, it looks like a very sheeny glow, which I am obsessed with. Like I love a sheeny glow. So I desperately want this, but I know that I don't need it, especially these colors. I don't need more pinks and bronzes. Like I don't need these colors. So pretty. We'll see. I can't make any promises, okay? I'm only one person. I'm only human. Finally, I have a bit of a rant, if you will. I think my next deep dive into a brand is going to be Morphe, and I think it's coming out next, like later this month. I've been doing a little bit of research, dabbling. Haven't pinpointed a date, but I know I'm doing Morphe next because it's Morphe. Like there's so much to talk about. So I know I'm doing Morphe next. And when I saw this palette with Nikita Dragun, it just really affirmed to me like why I hate Morphe with like a burning passion, why I don't like them. Because not only do they give influencers who are just so incredibly problematic massive platform to stand on. Now Nikita, she does things that are incredibly reckless and hurtful just to get some clout, and then claims she's like trying to be an advocate, but she's absolutely not. She literally doesn't listen to the communities that she hurts and listens to other people who tell her everything's fine that aren't a part of those communities. I'm not a fan, okay? I'm not a Nikita fan. Again, seeing them do yet another collab with somebody who's just so incredibly problematic and giving them this massive platform to like do this makeup launch. Not only that, but in the promo pictures they have the Dragun Beauty stuff. So they're not only putting her on a platform, but they're also putting Dragun Beauty on their platform and showcasing that. And you want to know what the kicker is? They do all of that. The palette isn't even good. They did all of these promo shoots with this beautiful green eye look, and I was like, you know, never going to buy that, but like at least it's a cute palette. Like at least the green will be kind of fun. Like I'm sure it'll be something really fun. There is one green shade. They used the singular fun shade in the palette and did all of the promo pictures with that one singular shade. This is such a boring palette. It's like painfully boring. There's like a small little quadrant of pops and then everything else is neutrals, browns, deeps. Like it's just so ugly. Like it's not good. And it honestly really confuses me because again, like I was talking about with Patrick Starr's beauty brand, at least if you're gonna do something like this, like at least put your freaking personality into it. Nikita is unabashedly extra. Like at least make an extra palette to sell. At least put some semblance of effort into it. This had zero effort put into it. I guarantee that she put zero time or energy and Morphe just created something and slapped her name on it. Because this has Morphe written all over it, but it certainly does not have Nikita Dragun written all over it. At least with the James Charles palette, not the mini one, but at least with the James Charles palette, the original one, you could tell that James Charles put blood, sweat, and tears into that palette. You could tell that he really poured his life into that palette. palette, he still uses it. It's the only palette he uses on his channel like 3 years later. Like, at least with that palette, you can tell that he put time into it and there was a passion there, which I can appreciate. Every palette Morphe's come out with that's a collab, the Madison Beer one, the Maddie Ziegler one, it's all just Morphe made products with an influencer name slapped on it. And it's becoming so transparently obvious that that's all they're doing, and they're just literally collabing with these people with millions of followers for a quick cash grab. Hate it. Hate the palette. Anyway, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just like, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I'm wearing on my face will be linked down below, along with a link to make a plan to vote. Tomorrow is voting day. Please get out there and vote. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!